President Joe Biden is meeting with Pope Francis at the G7 summit in Italy. Today, Pope Francis addressed artificial intelligence, telling leaders humans must not lose control over the technology. He is the first pontiff to address world leaders at the conference. This is President Biden's second time meeting with the Pope during his presidency. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is traveling with the president and joins us from Bari, Italy. So, Nancy, what do we expect from President Biden and Pope Francis' meeting?
Well, the focus here, Lindsay, was squarely on artificial intelligence. We did see the two men, the Pope and the president, sharing a warm embrace when the Pope arrived this morning. They have been in each other's presence before. They have stated that they have a great appreciation for each other. But here in Italy, what they're talking about is AI. And the Pope has been out front on this issue, calling for a global treaty on the use of this developing technology, not just because of things like deep fakes. We can all remember that viral image of him about a year ago wearing a big white puffy coat, which he didn't do, but proliferated around the internet. Not just sort of silly things like that, but the use of facial recognition software to crack down on protesters, or even what's known as killer robots, these autonomous weapons systems that are being developed that can fire on targets using sensors, no human input whatsoever. So these are the types of things that concern not just the Pope, but the other leaders gathered here. He called on them today to ban those killer robots altogether and to come up with some rules of the road that will govern how this technology is developed and ensure that it is used responsibly going forward.
And, out of these meetings, I always find it interesting sort of how these world leaders are interacting with each other. World leaders, they're just like us sort of stuff. And they have their own issues at home that they have to worry about, too. There are reports that President Biden and the Italian prime minister disagreed over the reference to safe and legal abortion in the final group of the 7 Summit statement. What can you tell us about that?
Right. These G7 leaders agree on a lot of things, but there are some issues that divide them. And the Italian president, for example, Meloni, she is conservative and she has different views on abortion than Emmanuel Macron, the leader of France, does, or Joe Biden, the president of the United States. And so it's very customary at these big summits to release a communique at the end, kind of laying out all the accomplishments, all the agreements that they have reached. And as you can imagine, on some of these hot button issues, it can be very delicate, very difficult to come to an agreement about exactly what it is they want to say. And that was the case in this situation when it comes to abortion. What Meloni wants to see in there, what President Biden wants to see in there are very different. And reportedly, these conversations went well into the night last night as they worked to hammer this out.
Okay, Nancy Cordes, appreciate you keeping us posted.